And obviously, so many eyes also on Wisconsin, made most of all. And that's where we find NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster, live outside a polling place in Waunakee, Wisconsin. Shaquille, good to see you this morning. Give us the latest there. This is a closely watched, highly expensive race.
That's exactly right. Look, this is Wisconsin. You expect to see these competitive races. You're expecting to see those expensive races. But this is another top race that people are watching. And at the top of the ticket, at the top of the ballot, there is this race for Wisconsin's Supreme Court, where ideological control of the court is up for grabs. This is a court that is used to hearing some pretty meaty issues, everything from abortion rights to voting rights to union rights. It's considered all of those in the past couple of years, and it's expected to consider some of those issues in the years to come. But despite the weighty issues this court is going to be hearing, it's Elon Musk that has been driving much of the narrative, much of the attention, and has been on the minds of many of the voters, including one who I just talked to as she was walking out of here, saying that it's Elon Musk's spending in this race and the focus that Democrats have put on him that got her out here to vote in this election that she said she normally wouldn't participate in. And that's because we saw, even just this past weekend, Elon Musk came here, flew to the state of Wisconsin, had that $1 million check giveaway for signers of his petition. He also gave people $100, his super PAC gave people $100 for signing that petition. He's been front and center in many of the ads from the liberal candidate in this campaign. I talked to both candidates. I went to some of their events, and I talked about the fact that, yes, there's a lot at stake with this court seat, but I talked to them about how they feel about Elon Musk being front and center. Susan Crawford, the liberal candidate, said essentially that Elon Musk is her main opponent in this race, not the conservative judge, Brad Schimmel. Listen to what both of them told me when I asked about the Musk factor in this race.
He has spent over $22 million and counting on this race, and it is just unprecedented. This has never happened before in any kind of state judicial race or even any state race at all that I know of. Elon Musk is coming into the state of Wisconsin to try to buy a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I think people across the country should be pretty worried about that.
He can do whatever he wants with his money. That's his money. It's not my business. If there's a problem with this, that's somebody else's problem to work out. It's not mine. It's not my business. If I gave somebody $1,000, my wife would have a talking to with me. But that's not my problem.
Schimmel there, also endorsed by President Donald Trump. And before today, you had about 650,000 voters across the state casting a ballot, voting early. Of course, you see the flow of people here behind me. And also on that ballot, I should mention, is a move to elevate the voter ID law in this state and put it into the state constitution. That's also been a motivating factor for some conservatives here, guys.
All right, NBC's Shaquille Brewster live from Wisconsin. Thank you very much. And joining us now, politics reporter for Semaphore, Dave Weigel, and former MSNBC host and contributor to Washington Monthly, Chris Matthews joins us. Good to have you both.
So Dave, it is so hard to predict anything after the election last year. And I say that because the media, Democrats, even some Republicans were highly skeptical that they could get low propensity younger male voters out. And that's exactly what they did. So, you know, would normally say those people don't vote in off-year elections, but hard to say. What are you hearing out of Wisconsin? Are they going to come out again this time to vote in a judicial race?
Well, before he actually traveled there, I was in the state for early voting when it started. Musk had really papered the state, papered Republican voters with ads that said, this is an election that can help Donald Trump. You need to turn out again to vote for Donald Trump. You've got Turning Point Action is in the state doing the same thing. Don Jr. was in the state, and they were trying to make this an election about Trump because you're right. Their theory was if you just get 63% of those Trump 2024 voters to show up, you win this race. And Republicans historically have been able to do that. The bullish theory on Musk going there is if you want to give him credit for some of the victory in Pennsylvania last year. If you want to say there are young men who don't pay attention to politics but love him, listen, they're invested in Tesla, etc., that he's excited them by showing up, you can. But at the same time, the Democratic strategy, and you heard Crawford say it, has been to say this is not about this Republican judge. This is not one of those races that's going to be about how they'd rule on the bench. It is an attempt by Elon Musk to buy the state. Their polling said that he's really unpopular. And their early vote, as usual in Wisconsin, they've gotten good at this. The Democratic early vote, they're very confident. Crawford won that pretty big. They're skeptical that all these men we've been talking about, who they didn't even vote for their Senate candidate when Trump was on the ballot. They voted for Trump and came home. That's just not going to be possible for them to come out for somebody who's not Donald Trump as a stand-in for him.
So, Chris Matthews, we're used to these elections that come so soon after a presidential contest. We sometimes it's the Virginia, New Jersey gubernatorial races, and now it's this Wisconsin Supreme Court matter. But we're used to it being sort of a referendum of a sort about how a president's doing. But what's so striking and unusual about this one, sure, it's about Trump, but really, in many ways, it's about Elon Musk.
Yeah, and I think the television pictures are going to be powerful. The cheesehead, everybody in Wisconsin is going to see that, and they'll know what it means. And has he earned the right to wear that cheesehead? There he is. He doesn't seem like he looks like an Araviste, a guy that shows up with a lot of money, spending millions of dollars, giving $1 million gifts away to people who are on the right side with him politically. But this is in the environment of a lot of concerns about Social Security in an environment where, of course, abortion rights is always there, but also about Signalgate. Signalgate's right in the air, and the president has said it's over, it's closed, I've closed it, I've given a pardon to these people. I know who did it, but I'm not saying I'm going to tell you who did it. So he's acting like a big shot. This guy, Musk, is clearly acting like a big shot. I think they're going to say no to it.
I was going to ask you, Chris. I mean, you know the Upper Midwest well. I mean, you're a Pennsylvania guy. Yeah. How do they respond to Elon Musk coming in? You know, and by the way, I hear a lot of people giving Elon Musk credit for winning Pennsylvania. I mean, you know, Trump won Pennsylvania. I mean, you and I know how politics work. They vote for the guy on the top line. They don't vote for endorsers or this or that or the other. I'm just curious. This race is about Musk in Wisconsin, not so much even about Trump. How does that play?
I think it plays badly. I think people are going to say, look, this is a tough state. Wisconsin's always been decisive, going all the way back to the Kennedy-Humphrey debate, the primary back in '60. It's always mattered, and it's always been close. And I think they're going to say, wait a minute, my vote counts, his vote doesn't. Giving away $1 million gift certificates for voting, supporting the right side, it must bother people. And that Republican candidate, did you see that weird answer he had? I don't care what's going on about his spending his money. Of course you care. He's spending money for your side. You got to talk about that and what voters feel about that. This is democracy. You don't have to. You shouldn't be buying elections so flagrantly. And look at this. This is flagrant. Look at the check. Look at the $1 million checks. I think people would say, I don't want to have anything to do with this kind of politics. I think.
Well, we'll see.
I think Wisconsin goes for the Democratic judge.
All right.